you sent out a press release, but about DOMA or why you were late to City Council today.
I confess I was in the back, glued to the TV, as were many members of council and my staff. It was a great ruling, great step forward by the Supreme Court. I was not so excited about yesterday's ruling on the Voting Rights Act, but very excited about today. The desire to legally affirm and protect loving relationships is fundamental. And the fact that the Supreme Court has recognized that fundamental right for gay and lesbian Americans is transformative. But I will say that I think it is a reflection of something that has already happened across the majority of American society. The recognition that creating loving relationships and building families around those relationships is something that all human beings desire and should have the opportunity to pursue. So very, very excited.
Mayor, have you had a chance to talk to Kathy and share the moment with her?
I have not. I've been in the chair. We of course have talked about it. We have lived together for 22 years. We dated for 8 months before that. So for more than 23 years, we shared our lives. And this is a person who cared for my grandparents who lived with us in their last years, who bathed and fed my grandfather, who is the co-parent of now 4th child with me. We have our goddaughter who lives with us and who has shared everything in my life for a very long time. The possibility that I can someday marry her is extremely important to me. Now, I have said, and she has agreed, that we want to do that in the state in which we've made our home. And so at this point, we're not planning on going to one of those states which has recognized relationships such as ours. But I hope that I will still be around to see it and do it here in Texas at some point.
Mayor, your story, the story that still has not been told. You have been a very strong leader. You have been a very strong example of what family should be about. I met your children in the very beginning, and I've always admired you and your children, Kathy. One day you will tell us your story.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. I can say that this is going to be a raucous Pride weekend.
Yes.
The Pride Festival and the Pride Parade should be bigger and more exciting than ever. It is really serendipitous timing on the announcement and the fact that all over the country LGBT communities are celebrating an annual festivities, and this will be a great cause for celebration.
Any thoughts about changing city policy, ordinances, and things like that down the road?
We don't, until the state of Texas and its Defensive Marriage Act, or its, as I would like to say, its Offensive Marriage Act, it's changed. Nothing will change down here in Houston.
If I can switch gears to anybody else. On the CIP, this is the first capital plan since the facilities assessment came out. I believe Councilman Costello said there's 28 million in facilities targeted work in there. The number of immediate needs is 400. You know, what are you satisfied with the progress? How much quickly could or should we be moving? When will we get to that? Get to those immediate needs?
We did get to the immediate needs. This the facilities assessment identified $400 million in projects. We committed to taking care of the highest priority needs, the category 1 and 2 needs, and this CIP does that. But at the same time, we're a growing city, and we have to continue to provide facilities from public safety to libraries to health in communities as we grow. And so it's trying to find the balance point between maintaining what we have and building new. And as I said earlier, the policy of the city has been, we build something new and then we ignore it until we have to rebuild it with capital dollars. My charge when I put my new leadership in place in the General Services Department and Scott Minix and GSD, and what I've told every department director from day one is that once we fix something, we maintain something. You will note that in this budget, not the CIP, but the budget that we passed last week, for the first time ever, we had a line item for maintenance, renewal, and replacement of facilities, where we are line iteming that. It wasn't a lot of money, it was $7 million, I believe, but it is a step in the right direction, and I intend to continue to add to it each year, and it's going to be institutionalized, and I defy any future mayor to create a budget that doesn't put money aside in the general fund for regular maintenance of facilities.
Obviously, it's easier for council members to get excited about a new thing in a district that would serve a new community. Does the politics of maintenance make it harder to tackle that list of facilities?
Part of it is the nature of term-limited council members. We have short terms. We churn council members. We have we're a $5 billion corporation. That's about what the city spends every year, and we churn council members through. And the imperatives of politics are that you come in and you want to do something new, and so it makes it difficult to keep your eye on the ball. On you gotta keep what you have, because somebody will campaign on, well, I'm going to provide some new facility or new service. And so this is a change in mindset. But we've been doing a lot of that throughout the CIP. We also fundamentally changed not just the way we fund street and drainage projects, but how we approach street and drainage projects. Not about taking the pot of money and dividing it equally among council districts. It's taking the pot of money and figuring out where the worst needs are and to try to fund those worst needs. So we're doing a lot of things to, not to say the previous administrations weren't fiscally responsible, but I would use a different term, more on the fiscal stewardship model, where we challenge all council members to think about the city and recognize that, yes, there's some of that, we have to have new shiny things, but that it's the responsible thing to do as we care for Houston to make sure that we maintain what we have. And that is becoming, I think, the mindset of most council members.
Mayor, Ben Hall just received an endorsement from the firefighters union. What do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's the trifecta. They've never endorsed me, so am I surprised?
Okay.
I will just say that there was a rather unfortunate letter that came out from the president of the Houston Firefighters Union last Friday night. And anybody who releases something on Friday evening when the mayor's out of town and he sends it to council and to the media, and not to the mayor, not to the city attorney, not to the HR department that has to do with an HR issue, it should make one wonder. And I'm so glad that most of you realize that it was completely inaccurate, misleading, and just flat out disgusting.
If I could ask about the committee hearing, the boarding homes ordinance proposal there. A lot of the council members were discussing the idea of maybe putting more teeth in there.
And I just can't leave that bone alone. I just want to say that I would encourage you to look. Jan's going to hit me. Look at the first item on today's agenda, which was an extension of leave for an injured firefighter under the policies we have in the city of Houston. Far more generous than anything in FMLA. Group homes.
So several council members were talking about, essentially the ordinance asks for registration, some basic information. It doesn't call for mandatory inspections. Given that they already know where a lot of them are, is this really a significant change?
We don't know where a lot of them are. Well, we know where a lot of them are. There are a lot more of them that we don't know about, and we want to do this in a deliberate process so that we don't get ahead of ourselves. Let's figure out what the landscape is, get a real good idea of where they are, what the problems are. We can truly nail down the bad actors. The reason that we know where some of these group homes are is because we get police calls. Actually, the ones that are doing a pretty good job, we don't know that they're there. But there are reasons why we probably ought to know that they're there. And so I think this is a prudent approach. We get the registration piece in, then we decide how much of a regulatory issue they are, and then how many resources we should devote to the regulation of those group homes.
So a lot of the information is useful on the ones that you don't get calls to now, because obviously the ones you do get calls to, the police do have information.
But this isn't just a policing issue, it's also a fire issue. If we respond to what we think is perhaps a single-family residence that's on fire, and we, in fact, when we get there, the fire department discovers that it's a group home and every one of those rooms is somebody's bedroom, that's a different calculation going in. If we are going to aggressively regulate deed restriction, and as you've seen through the discussion of Chapter 42 and through the budget, council members are really interested in doing what we can to shore up neighborhoods and their enforcement of deed restrictions. Some of these are in violation of deed restrictions, some of them are not. Those are determinations we can make simply through this registration. So there's a lot of positive things that we can achieve. And finally, there's a humanitarian aspect. Some of these facilities are extremely substandard. They provide a not just a bad living situation, but a criminal living situation for people who are vulnerable and may not be able to fend for themselves and find other accommodations. And so this will give us a window into that. And it also fits into something that another major initiative of mine since I became mayor, and that is that we've been cracking down on bad landlords. We've been doing the demo days and going after the multifamily situations. This is another example of that, where we want to ensure that someone's living in the city of Houston, that they are in maybe not luxurious conditions, but they are in safe and sanitary conditions. Okay.